Hi there. It is a beautiful, sunshiny, slightly windy day here at the very end of April in central Ohio. And I am going to plant a bunch of stuff today, as well as do a few, I don't know if you'd call them maintenance things. Let me show you. We're going to start off with thinning the carrot seedlings that I did in my raised bed gardens. I have several areas with carrots because I wanted to try several varieties this year to see what I really like. And I had space to do, I don't even remember, 5 or 6 different kinds, I think. So let me show you what we've got. I have here a row of carrots and I have already thinned them. And the purpose with thinning is, the thing about carrots from my research is I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see there. The thing with carrots is they are somewhat known for being kind of either difficult to germinate or uneven in their germination. So I dug a little trench when I planted these seeds, and then I just sprinkled seeds. The seeds are pretty small, and then covered it up with a little bit of dirt, and then I laid a board. For this I used a 1x2 because it was just one row, and after I watered. And the idea with that is it helps keep the moisture kind of consistent, and it worked. So I have lots of baby carrot seedlings, and what I've tried to do is just while they're this size, it's fairly easy to grab a hold of one and just kind of quickly and gently pick it out of the ground. My goal with doing it right now and leaving them still with kind of some close together plants is these are still very young. I don't know for sure that they will all survive, but I'm hopeful. And so if these all survive, then I will just thin them again once they start to get a little bit of size on them. And then that way I should ensure that I have a solid row of carrots, because I don't want a lot of big blank spots. That just gives weeds a chance to start filling in my garden, which you can see even though I have a brand new load of dirt that I filled these new gardens with this year. Lots of little baby weeds, because one, there could have been seeds, plus I live in the woods and I don't know what these things are. I'm guessing it's some sort of seed from something. So these all were flying around not long after I filled the beds, and so that's just something that's going to happen even if you have like a raised bed type of garden. So I've also thinned this row and this row for the most part. I may have missed a few places. My goal is just to get anywhere there's clumps, to try to get it so there's not 2 carrots like right basically in a same hole. I'm trying to give them all a little bit of space. Did this row already. So let me show you on this last row on this side, doing this for a few. So I am just going to get my fingers in here, and I'm trying to get the plants that are kind of in the middle and grab just that and just yank it kind of like that. And because these are still relatively small, their root system is just kind of a single root. So in theory, or my theory I guess, is that it shouldn't be disturbing too much to the carrot plants that are around them. And then as I go along, I'm also picking out any little baby weeds that I see. Oh, excuse me. It is springtime, and the sniffles are now because of, I think, some seasonal allergies. Love living in Ohio. We either get the sniffles from cold, or now that one I pinched with my fingernail because it felt like it was pulling the one next to it. So you just have to kind of feel. Some of these are a little bit bigger in some of the other rows. But basically this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep going along and trying to get the seedlings that are too close together. And if possible, if I have a choice, I'm trying to leave the seedling that looks like it's already, see if I can get a better angle here, already starting to get its true leaves, because, oh, there we go. Trying to get the ones that, leave the ones that have started to get true leaves. These kind of long things that you see, those are the seed leaves. I think that's what they're called. And that's what comes up from the seed that gives the energy the plant needs to get started growing. All right, so that is thinning carrot seedlings. That's my first task today. I'll see you in a little bit with the next one. Project number 2 today was getting my green bean area going. Now I tried something this year. I didn't necessarily do it on purpose, but it's just kind of how it worked out. I was a little late. And you don't really actually, let me back up. You don't have to start green beans inside. Lots of people say the best thing is just to plant them in the ground, just to be on the safe side. And just for an experiment, I did start some in my seed starting cells that are about this big, 24 in a 24 cells in a tray. It's not as big as a 10-20 tray. It would probably be about a 36 cell if you had a 10-20 tray. Anyways, so I did start. I have actually 3 varieties of green beans. These 2 I did grow some last year, but I didn't have nearly enough for what I wanted. And then this is a 3rd variety for me this year. So anyways, about a week ago, I decided to start some seeds. Only about a week. Green beans come up pretty quick. And so what I did was I just gently emptied the cells out, kind of, squeezing a little bit and then pulling. And basically I pre-sprouted them. So they all had a decent amount of roots. They had all kind of come out of their seed shell for the most part. And I just planted them about as deep as they were in the shell or the cells in the seed starting tray. So we'll see if this works. I figure the worst that can happen is in about a week they all look crappy and I just come out here and pop seeds in, because I'm a week or 2 early anyways. But in looking at our forecast, none of the nighttime temperatures are below 50 degrees. The soil has gotten pretty decently warmed up because of the nicer weather we've had lately. I thought it was worth giving it a try. So that was job 2, was putting those in the ground, and literally I just kind of loosened up the soil, dug in with my finger, made a big enough space to pop those in and get all their roots down under, and then just gently put the dirt around them. Project number 2, done. Now on to project number 3. All right, project number 3 was to plant, same idea as what I did with the beans. I started some squash seeds, winter squash. I don't really eat enough of things like zucchini, summer squash to bother, but I did start some winter squash. Same idea. I basically pre-sprouted them in some seed starting mix, and so I've gone ahead and planted them. Again, this is probably at least a week or 2 early than they really need to be, but looking at our forecast, I think I'm safe, and it gets them started, and it gets some things out of my house with all the seed starting between the fungus gnats and just all the spaces taking up. And I got my electric bill, and even though I've used LED lights on the electric bill, it definitely raised my bill this past month. So I want to start getting that stuff out that I can. So that's what I've done. I've got 5 different kinds of winter squash, a couple acorn types, a small version, no, not that, that's my water bottle, a kind of dwarf sort of, a mini butternut squash. And my idea with this is I'm going to put some trellising with some fencing on. I think right now what I'm planning to do is get some flexible PVC pipe and make an arch on either side that I've attached the same fencing that I put around. And so my idea is these honey nuts, squashes, hopefully, which is like I said, a dwarf butternut as far as the fruits, see if I can get them to trellis, and that'll free up bed space for the other squash plants that I know tend to take up a lot of space based on the one plant I had last year. And then on this side of the trellis, my snow pea pod plants are all germinated and starting to grow, and so I need to definitely get this trellising going soon, because you can see that the pea pods are already starting to put out their little tendrils so that they can vine climb up the trellis. So I need to get that going. That may be a project tomorrow to see if I can find some PVC pipe and figure out how to do that. Anyways, that was project number 3 for today. Now, project 4, I'm going to plant my tomatoes. They are not loving being inside. They are not loving that I put them only into a 3-inch pot when I took them out of the initial seed starting trays. And again, I have way so many, and I just need to start getting some stuff out of my house. So these and these are getting planted. I have a total of, I think, 17 different varieties. There's only 2 that I'm growing 2 plants of. There's one that may or may not make it, the Brad's Atomic Grape. Every one of these, since I've put them in the little bit bigger cell or pots, just aren't loving life. So I don't know how this guy's going to do. Some people that have grown this in a Facebook group that I'm in have said sort of similar experiences where the plants don't look super good, but I think one person said once they got it planted in the ground, it did a lot better. So the plan with tomatoes, and I'll just show you on one of them. If you can notice here, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. There you can kind of see all the little hair looking things coming off the stem. Those, I don't know what they're called, but they can become roots. So what I'm planning to do with all of these tomato plants is I'm going to snip off all of the leaves and only leave about this much of the plant sticking out of the ground. And then that's going to put all of this plus what's in here becoming root structure for these tomato plants. The tomato plants absolutely do really well with this strategy. I'm also going to add some tomato tone to the holes and kind of mix it in the dirt when I plant them. Usually I put biotone starter fertilizer and everything. This has some of that, but it also has a ratio that makes it especially good for tomatoes. So that's what all of those are going to get. Everything else that I've planted today got some biotone, and so I'm going to plant these really deep, probably to show you on this one, like all the way up to probably about here. And that's going to make them much sturdier since it is kind of windy, and I am planting a little earlier than maybe precisely necessary. But again, the forecast is looking really good for this. So going to get these in here, going to plant them very deep, going to give them some tomato tone to give them a good start, and then that'll be the end of project number 4. Let me show you what this looks like. So here is a plant. You can see it's pretty tall. If I planted this like that, the wind is going to blow this guy all over the place. Plus, like I said, going to make new roots. So I'm just taking my hand and just using my finger and pinching right here. I do have kind of longer nails in these gloves, so that helps with the pinching. If you don't have nails that give you a clean pinch, or you have a tougher stem, that almost wouldn't work, get yourself some garden snips. All right, so now I've got all of this that I can try to get underground, and this baby will grow roots all along there. Now I'm just using my little hand trowel, and so I'm going to loosen up the dirt, and then I'm going to move dirt out of the hole as best as I can with this. And this is the bonus of having my dirt go all the way down to the original soil. And I'm just going to keep digging a hole here. And then I'm going to kind of pull the dirt back so it's not just refilling it. And then pop my tomato plant out of its pot. You can see these guys definitely have an excellent collection of roots growing in there, but starting to not be happy. You can see that where some of the roots are a little bit brownish. Most of it's white, so we're still, I think, okay. Gonna keep the tag. So I'm gonna just see, we're not nearly deep enough. So let me see if I can put the camera where you can see. Oh, starting to sprinkle, gotta put the camera away. Basically, I'm just gonna keep digging this hole, stick this guy down, put some of the tomato tone in there, zhuzh it around, cover the hole back up. But there you go, that's how you plant it. Snip off some leaves, get it down there as deep as you can. All right, chore tomato planting is done. We'll see if I've jumped the gun too much. I do have extras of everything. Whatever I don't need, in the next couple weeks I'm going to offer to friends, maybe try to do a little plant sale. But everything's planted, everything got buried as deep as I could get it. Some of them are looking just fine, some of them are a little droopy, so we'll see. And I have also planted a bunch of marigold seeds here. I planted basically around the edge of every bed. I put at the ends a few marigold seeds, and then right in front of the tomatoes here and here I also spread a bunch of alyssum seeds. I read that that's good to have near tomatoes, and it'll be something that'll just sort of like drape over, doesn't get terribly big, so I figured it was worth a shot. Garden's starting to fill in. I had one extra spot, so I decided to go grab one of my extra broccoli plants that I started and see if it can hang in there. If not, I'll fill it in with something else later, maybe a couple of green bean plants. And I also, as kind of a final, I think for today, gardening chore out here in the vegetable garden, I have given everything that was not just planted today a good, just like a shaking handful of garden tone. It's an organic vegetable fertilizer, and it's got a very gentle formula. It won't hurt anything. It's got a NPK of 344, and again, like I said, it's all organic, so I feel really comfortable putting this on all of my vegetables, and it's organic, so I feel really comfortable putting all of this on all of my veggies. And so hopefully this gives the things that have been planted out here for a couple of weeks a nice boost. The onions, some of them are looking pretty good, nice and strong. Some are looking a little floppy, so we'll see how they do. So tomorrow, or next project, if it's tomorrow, is going to be, I think, working on this trellis and trying to work on getting my doors built, so that now that I've got so many things in here, I don't want any of the little creatures like the deer or the bunnies having open access, like, come on in, here's a buffet. No, it's not what I'm looking for. So anyway, after a long but beautiful day, although it is starting to look a little rainy, thanks for joining me here in Aunt Susan's garden.